What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. It has been misstep after misstep for Ubisoft. We've seen it with the launch of Star Wars Outlaws, which you don't really play an outlaw because, of course, over there, they weren't really allowed to show the true ins and outs of what it would be to be an outlaw in the Star Wars and the criminality, the actual violence. So, of course, this is a sanitized scrub version that released Buggy as all get up. And apparently, that is a fate that Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to face before the absolute backlash, and then, of course, loss of profits, etc., for Star Wars Outlaws made them rethink. And then there's also maybe a little bit more tactical reasons for why they would switch Assassin's Creed Shadows to February. But we can see here on September 25th, they announced that, of course, they are delaying the game. So sorry, you're going to have to wait until next year in February. This, of course, led to, my God, the stock prices in general have been horrible, but you can see just down there at the 26, just all the way down to the bottom of that line. Oh, and yes, here's a Valiant Renegade talking about the absolute meltdown that is happening over at Ubisoft. Now that they're delaying it, saying that they're reducing their sales expectations for its second quarter by 30%, from 500 million to 350 to 370 at the high end. And that, that's going from profitable to break even, and that has an entire meltdown kicked off over there, specifically reacting to the stock price crashing 20% since it opened. And that, unfortunately, is just, look at that. 90% of its total market. This means that company has shed 90% of its total market capitalization. And just look at that downward trend. Yeah. And all of that, of course, including we've heard the two types of toxic positivity, which is how a lot of these negative ideas make it past where normally they would be called out. Unfortunately, because of that atmosphere of toxic positivity, they just, oh, yes, oh, that's great. And it makes it past checks that it should have been stopped at. And then, of course, dismissing criticism as toxic gamer talk. That is something that we see a lot of studios do, not just in the game studio variety, but also in movie and TV shows. And then that all brings us to today, that one of the major reasons that they delayed it, and they even cite Star Wars Outlaws, is because it was a buggy mess. So, take them with a grain of salt and rumor, but this doesn't sound like it's any sort of stretch of the imagination whatsoever. So, of course, announcing that Assassin's Creed Shadows not coming out till February 14th, Valentine's Day 2025. Press release, of course, they admitted, saying that it will not be until there, and that while the feature is complete, that the game is feature complete, the learnings from Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title, i.e., it was probably going to release buggy and semi-playable, and because it was Ubisoft, everyone would have just been like, nah, they always do that. But because Star Wars Outlaws was bad and buggy, even for a Ubisoft game, now they're realizing they cannot bring out, and this is, by the way, polishing turd. I realize that might be a case here, but yeah, they apparently really are trying to double down and make sure this will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure with Naue and Yasuke, bringing two very different gameplay styles. And of course, the big one from here was that they were giving refunds to people. And you can see we are departing from the traditional season pass model. All players will be able to enjoy the game at the same time on February 14th. And those who pre-order the game will be granted the first expansion for free. Because if you had previously pre-ordered it and it paid a little extra for that, now you'll get that extra. So it's essentially getting the first expansion for free. That's awesome. And then, yes, this is now coming from another YouTuber in our sphere, TVPH, that it was indeed buggy as hell. This comes from a Google Translate, but he's saying the problem is that on the inside is a very simple one. The game is buggy, which is something that is traditional to the Assassin's Creed series, right? Especially when they are making this transition and internal technology. Assassin's Creed Unity was very dramatic. Assassin's Creed Origins also had a lot of problems at the time. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Unity famously had a rough launch, a lot of bugs, but then it got a great state of play, but a lot of The damage had already been done, unfortunately. Assassin's Creed Shadows also offers a change of internal technology, meaning the engine, within the game that was most likely causing the bugs. So it's not a completely new thing to have a buggy launch of Assassin's Creed, but there's a very marked difference in the days of Unity, Origins, and Ubisoft was safer. Ubisoft was calm. I.e., everyone hates Ubisoft right now. They can't get away with what they were getting away with before. September 2024, Ubisoft had just launched and seen Star Wars Outlaws flop, which was a game they expected would completely explode into the biggest titles of the year. And it looks like it just sold okay. It sold like at least a Star Wars game should sell when there's no public interest. Part of the problem was the game was completely bugging out. We talked about that. People having to completely redo their gameplays rather, and mainly complaining that it is one buggy, and then Valiant Renegade saying that it's attempting to break even before the end of the fiscal year. So you're passing the buck. And the other big one that we think is that, of course, they're going to release it in February. They're going to release it during Black History Month because Yasuke, Black Samurai, that they're trying to push as official, and that would just give them more ammunition to do that. Either way, it sounds like even if you want to buy this game, it would probably behoove you to wait for it to be discounted and to have all the bugs patched out, DLC added, and then play it as like a game of the year. Like it's going to get game of the year, but you know what I'm saying? Like a complete edition at the end of its run, rather than risk buying it now and having to redo a bunch of gameplay because a day 2 or 3 patch comes out. Even with the delay, trust me, there will still be bugs because not just Ubisoft, but also new engine. So yeah, let me know what you think of this. Be sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.